When the law bowed to gold, justice died in the streets of Red Hollow. They burned one man's family, bought every badge in town, and thought the story was over. But they forgot one thing: some wounds don't heal. They ride back with a gun, a promise, and nothing left to lose. Stay till the end, because the revenge he came for would become something far greater than blood. The desert wind always carried dust through Red Hollow, but in the summer of 1878 it carried fear as well. Men walked with their heads down. Women locked their doors before sunset. Children learned early not to ask questions when riders in black coats thundered down the street. At the center of it all stood Horace Bellamy, the richest cattle baron in 3 counties. Bellamy owned the ranches, the saloons, the bank, and worst of all, the sheriff. If a farmer lost his land, Bellamy bought it cheap. If a ranch hand protested, he vanished. If someone dared speak in court, the judge suddenly forgot the truth. People said the law lived in Red Hollow, but everyone knew it only worked for the rich. Far outside town, in a small cabin near Dry Creek, lived Samuel Cade with his wife Clara and their little son Tommy. Samuel was not rich, not powerful, and not educated in the ways of courts or politics. But he was honest, and honest men were becoming rare. Samuel worked a patch of land that his father had cleared years before. The soil was stubborn, but Clara's laughter made hard days easier, and Tommy's small boots running across the porch made every sunrise worth seeing. One evening, Bellamy's men arrived. They rode up slowly, smiling the kind of smiles wolves wear before feeding. Their leader, Wade Mercer, unfolded a paper and held it out. "By order of Sheriff Talbot," he said, "this land now belongs to Mr. Bellamy." Samuel read poorly, but he knew enough to see false seals and crooked signatures. "This land is mine," Samuel said quietly. Mercer shrugged. "Not anymore." Clara stepped forward, Tommy clutching her skirt. "You can't just steal from families." Mercer looked at her with cold amusement. "Lady, around here we can." Samuel stood firm. "Tell Bellamy I ain't selling." Mercer's smile vanished. "Then you'll learn the price of pride." They rode away, but the warning stayed like thunder in the sky. 3 nights later, Samuel woke to smoke. Flames crawled across the cabin walls. Clara screamed Tommy's name. Samuel smashed the window, dragging Clara outside, then rushed back in for his son. The roof groaned above him. Fire bit his skin. He found Tommy trapped beneath fallen timber. Samuel lifted with all his strength. Too late. The roof collapsed. Neighbors came at dawn to ashes, smoke, and a father kneeling in blackened dirt with burned hands wrapped around a child he could not save. Sheriff Talbot arrived near noon. He glanced once at the ruins and sighed as though delayed from lunch. "Looks accidental," Talbot said. Samuel rose slowly. "Bellamy did this." "Got proof?" "You know the truth." Talbot spat tobacco into the dirt. "Truth ain't proof." Samuel lunged, grief stronger than reason, but deputies pinned him down. Talbot struck him across the face with a pistol. "Careful, Cade," the sheriff warned. "Or you'll hang for disturbing the peace." Disturbing the peace. Samuel laughed then, a broken laugh that frightened everyone nearby. He buried Tommy beneath a cottonwood tree. Clara, hollow with grief, sat beside the grave for hours. That night she pressed Samuel's hand. "Don't let hate take what little you have left," she whispered. But hate was already there. Weeks passed. Clara's heart never recovered from losing Tommy. Winter came early, and fever took her before the first snow melted. Samuel buried her beside their son. He stood between the 2 graves with nothing left in the world. Then he rode away. For 5 years Samuel Cade vanished into the territories. Some said he died in a mine collapse. Others said he joined outlaws. The truth was stranger. He learned from a former marshal how to track men by broken grass and cigarette ash. He learned from an old preacher that vengeance without purpose only makes 2 graves into 3. He learned from a doctor to steady his hands. He learned from loneliness how silence can harden into steel. And every night he remembered Red Hollow. When Samuel finally returned, he was no longer a farmer. He wore a long dust coat, carried 2 revolvers low on his hips, and rode a black horse with eyes as calm as his own. Scars crossed his hands like pale ropes. His face was older, but his grief had sharpened into something dangerous. Red Hollow had grown richer. Brick buildings replaced wood. Bellamy's mansion rose above town like a king's castle. But the people still looked down when riders passed. Samuel stopped in the middle of Main Street. A drunk recognized him first and dropped his bottle. "Cade," he whispered. Doors cracked open. Curtains moved. Sheriff Talbot stepped from his office, heavier now, beard gray, badge polished bright. "Well," Talbot said. "Ghosts do ride." Samuel looked at him without blinking. "I came for justice." Talbot laughed. "Then you're still in the wrong town." Samuel's hand moved faster than memory. Talbot's badge spun into the dust, shot clean off his chest. No one breathed. Samuel spoke softly. "Tell Bellamy I'll be seeing him." Then he rode toward the old cabin land where ashes had long since become weeds. For the first time in years, Red Hollow felt fear move in the opposite direction. That night Bellamy hosted a banquet. Crystal glasses clinked beneath chandeliers while politicians praised prosperity. Outside the mansion gates, hungry children watched leftovers thrown to dogs. Inside, Sheriff Talbot burst through the doors. "Cade's back." Bellamy's smile faded only slightly. "Then finish what you failed to start." Talbot swallowed. "He ain't the same man." "No," Bellamy said, pouring whiskey. "Neither am I." By morning, posters covered town walls. "Wanted, Samuel Cade, murder, threats, banditry." Samuel laughed when he saw them. He had committed none of those crimes. But then again, neither had Bellamy ever been charged with his own. Samuel began with Mercer, the man who had delivered the false deed years ago. He found him in a saloon cheating cards. Mercer reached for a gun. Samuel shot the whiskey bottle beside his hand, showering glass across the table. "Draw if you want," Samuel said. "But I came for truth, not your corpse." Mercer trembled. Cowards often do when no gang stands behind them. By dawn Mercer confessed publicly, forged papers, bribed deputies, the fire at the Cade cabin ordered by Bellamy. The town listened in stunned silence. Then Mercer was found dead in his cell before trial. "Suicide," Talbot announced. No one believed him. Samuel realized revenge by bullets would never free Red Hollow. Kill one snake, another takes its whole. So he changed tactics. He robbed Bellamy's payroll wagon, not for gold, but for ledgers. Names, bribes, land thefts, murders paid in cash. He delivered copies to every doorstep in town before sunrise. Secrets spilled like blood. Farmers recognized forged signatures. Widows saw proof of stolen inheritances. Deputies found their own names beside payments for crimes they never knew they'd helped hide. Anger replaced fear. Bellamy responded with force. His riders dragged men from homes and beat them in the street. They set fire to shops accused of betrayal. But this time the town did not bow. Blacksmiths made barricades. Ranch hands armed themselves. Women carried water, bullets, and courage. Old men rang church bells to warn of attacks. And Samuel rode where danger was thickest. He saved a child from a burning stable. He carried a wounded deputy to safety, though the man once arrested him. He stood between Bellamy's riders and unarmed townsfolk, guns blazing like thunder. People began calling him outlaw. Then hero. The final reckoning came at sunset outside the courthouse. Bellamy stood on the balcony with a rifle, Sheriff Talbot beside him and 6 hired guns below. "You wanted justice?" Bellamy shouted. "Here it is." Samuel stepped into the street alone. "No," he answered. "This is judgment." Gunfire erupted. Windows shattered. Horses screamed. Townsfolk fought from alleys and rooftops. Talbot fired wildly until a shopkeeper he once extorted shot the rifle from his hands. Samuel climbed the courthouse stairs under bullets and smoke. Bellamy waited inside, hands shaking though his voice tried to stay proud. "I built this town." "You bought it," Samuel replied. Bellamy fired first and missed. Samuel fired once. The cattle king collapsed beside the judge's bench where so many lies had been blessed. Outside, Talbot tried to flee but citizens surrounded him. No gunfight. No glory. Just handcuffs from the same people he had abused. When dawn came, Red Hollow was scarred but standing. They offered Samuel the sheriff's badge. He looked at it a long time. Then he placed it on the desk of a schoolteacher whose husband Bellamy had murdered years before. "Give it to someone who still believes in law," he said. "And you?" she asked. Samuel glanced toward the cemetery hill beyond town. "I believe in second chances." He rode to Clara and Tommy's graves one last time. He placed wildflowers between the stones. "I thought revenge would quiet the pain," he said softly. "It didn't. But helping them, that did." The wind moved through the cottonwood leaves like a mother's hand through a child's hair. Then Samuel K. turned his horse west and rode into the morning. Some say he became a marshal in another territory. Some say he never carried a gun again. Some say he simply kept riding until the weight inside him grew light enough to set down. But in Red Hollow they remembered this forever. When the law protected the rich, one broken man returned for revenge and taught a town how to stand for justice. If today's story touched your heart, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And remember, even a small act of kindness can change someone's entire life. Red Heart.